Good afternoon. Welcome to this week's episode of Monday Biz Motivation with the Culver City Chamber. I'm Candance Simmons. I'm a board member and I'm also a business owner. I own All That and More Boutique here in Culver City. I have the pleasure of hosting these segments with Rafia Cooper, who's also an ambassador of the Culver City Chamber, and she's also a business owner. She owns Rafia Jewelry. And the chamber created these forums to allow our viewers to have more insight into the amazing businesses that are here, that service the Culver City community, and that keep the Culver City businesses flourishing. We encourage you to check out all of our. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rafia Cooper, who has the pleasure of introducing our guest for this week.
Thank you, Candance. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful Monday. Welcome to Monday Biz Motivation. And before I introduce our guest, I would like to remind everyone that this is interactive and we're live. So please join us in any questions you have for our guest or either one of us. And we'll be happy to answer those questions for you or read your comments. So without further delay, we have Yeshiva Davis from Candance Therapeutic Services.
Yay.
So welcome to our show. Thank you for joining us.
And, Thank you.
And will you start us off with telling us a little bit about you and how you got started?
Sure. So my name's Yeshiva, and I took the long way, or I took the scenic route to this career. I used to work in financial services back in Boston many years ago, and found that that work wasn't very fulfilling. There were lots of great things about it, but Fridays would come and I'd be like, okay, it's the end of the week. Oh God, I have to come back here on Monday. And that's not a way to live a fulfilling and successful life, at least for me. And so I decided, kind of what's the thing that I would do for free? And the thing that I would do for free is to support and help other people. And so that's kind of what brought me to therapy. And so I ended up moving from Boston out here, going back to grad school and, going through my internship and then starting Candance. And we are a group of licensed marriage and family therapists and licensed clinical social workers, and we provide therapy for kids as young as 5 all the way up to, 65, up to 100. And we usually help people who are having relationship issues that result from like depression or anxiety or communication problems, divorce, the regular things that come up in life that can kind of trip you up. And so we support folks with that through individual, group, couples, and family therapy.
I see. But you specialize more in children? Is that what I'm getting?
There's a group of us, right? So we are 6 clinicians, including myself. And so we have this amazing therapist named Bridget, who is like a certified play therapist. And so she works with kids and uses play with them, but also works with adults and uses play as well. Because sometimes, regular old talk therapy does not work, depending on what the person's issues are or what their personality is like. So she works with adults and kids with play. And I work with folks who are struggling wearing all of the hats, motherhood, trying to work and be professional, taking care of a home, people who are feeling overwhelmed with all the things that they have to do. And I also specialize in folks who have experienced trauma. We have a therapist who did her dissertation on the strong Black woman myth. And so she works a lot with African-American women who are struggling with that. She actually has an African-American women's process group on Saturday mornings at 8:30. And, I have another therapist who works on our team that really focuses on LGBTQIA community. So there's a group of us and we all have our individual specialties, but we meet regularly so that we can share, support, and teach each other about our different areas of expertise.
Wow.
Sounds great. Do you do group therapy as well?
We do group. Okay, so I'm a group therapy fangirl. I love it so much. And I love it so much because anyone who is struggling in their relationship would benefit from group. And how group works is, or the benefit of it is, it teaches people to understand why they do what they do, to decide, do I want to keep doing this or not? And then to have a safe place to learn new skills and practice the new skills with a therapist to help them through. So if you're the kind of person who, when you get into conflict, you withdraw and you don't say anything, you go inward and you stonewall, and that's something you want to work on, here you have these other like-minded people and a therapist to help you not to do that, and to help you figure out where that came from. Why do you do it? What's your secondary gain from doing something in that way? So that's why I love groups so very much, and I'm in one myself. So
and also it can be beneficial if you hear it from someone who is in a similar position, and not just a therapist telling you, and you get that feedback that could be very helpful.
Yeah, so true. It's so true. And in a process group, it's different than like an AA group, because in the process group, we really focus on what's happening inside and what the feeling is. And a lot of times the folks in my groups will not like this, but they'll start talking about content like this happened and that happened. And then there's this other thing. And I'm like, okay, so hold on. Tell me the feeling that's driving this content. Tell me the feeling that is making you share this information. And when you can identify the feeling, that helps you to understand where it's coming from. And when you know the root, then you have a better opportunity to solve the issue.
So are you located locally here?
I am. So I'm located now in my bedroom/office because of COVID.
That's very local. I think we all are.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I've ever spent this much time in this room before in my life.
I hope you love it.
I had to paint the walls yellow, kind of zhuzh it up a little bit to make it a little more comfortable.
Some of your
That's funny.
Okay, hold on. I want to step back and how is it that people actually find you? How do they even know that they're in a situation? Are they referred to you, or do themselves seek you out? How does that process happen?
So there's a lot of different channels. So one is we get a lot of referrals from current clients. So we'll often have a client say, hey, my friend is struggling with this. Can she reach out to you? So that's one way. We provide services to people who have PPO insurance. So sometimes they'll get our information from their insurance company. I'm trying really hard to be more active and visible on social media.
Okay.
And so sometimes we'll get DMs from there, or someone will come to the website. So trying to provide opportunities in a lot of different areas to make us easy to find for folks.
Okay. So when I think back to growing up in the, I'm just going to say it, in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, there wasn't therapists. We had a school nurse, but therapists.
Yeah.
So what point have this process of going to therapy, has it been introduced? When would you say it became more accessible, or more,
acceptable?
Acceptable, or the norm? Seek out a therapist, because I'm still at a point where, I have some friends and things of that nature that have gone to therapists. But at what point would you say that seeking out a therapist has become more the norm?
I think it's getting there. I think that there's still a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding about mental health and therapy. I think there's still heavy stigma around therapy too. But I think things, or organizations like the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, which is a foundation that Taraji P. Henson created in honor of her father, who had PTSD. I'm on their board, and so we did a campaign where we offered free therapy to people. So we offered 5 free sessions, and sort of other entertainers and celebrities really normalizing it and say, hey, I have a therapist, I do this too. So I think that's moving people away from stigma. Oftentimes people will come to us because they're in a place of desperation and then they're not quite sure what else to do. Or they've been thinking about it for a year or so, and finally they're at the breaking point. And I want to get folks to a place where they come to us before they break. Get support before you're overwhelmed.
Right. Yeah.
So
more of collaboration where it makes sense. So I'm seeing, as folks have been referred to a divorce attorney, that divorce attorney also offers a therapist.
yeah.
Large employers are doing, layoffs. And so they're offering, the job services, and then they're also offering a therapist in that process. So I think the connections are being made. We're having, different, like, pretty impactful changes. And with the, as folks are seeing the need to not only just deal with the what, but also deal with the how. And the how do you move forward with these changes, and are being paired with those events. So I'm that, those things are more.
I love to hear that. There are a couple of family law attorneys that I work with, so we do that kind of thing too. But I love to hear that it's happening with layoffs and those kinds of things, because it's so necessary.
Yeah, and it's just like anything else. You just need someone to, tell you that you're doing the right thing, or even walk you through a path that that you need some assistance with,
Yeah. Or give you different ways of thinking about things. Right. So the way we operate and the way we think about things oftentimes come from how we grew up.
Yes.
And so to have someone say, have you thought about thinking this way? What if it were that? So just to have someone toss ideas and questions out and help you to think about and process them helps a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, and also, just being accepted, having a safe place to go say whatever you want to say and not be judged. I think that is such a key factor in opening up,
It's true. It's true. Yeah. I tell my clients, please come into session the way you live in your life. If you curse and you have a potty mouth in your life, bring that in here. I don't want you to pretend to be someone you're not. And with moms, sometimes they're so frustrated and overwhelmed with children, but don't feel like it's okay to say those kinds of things. Like, I am so sick of this child today. I just want to give her away. But those are the kinds of things that you can say in therapy, and to your point, feel safe.
Yes,
when you
I
say
think
them.
that's so important, because there's, like you said, it's a lot of people are not used to opening up, and you have to bring it out of them. And so if you feel safe that you can do that. And the biggest thing to me is not being judged for what you're going to say, or even having somebody take what you're saying and use it against you later, because that's also can happen when you're confiding in somebody,
It's true.
I recall working for a large corporation, and we had an associate that passed away, and I was in the department, so they were doing group sessions, crisis, and they were doing group sessions, and since everyone knew the associate, and I thought I would be the person to go in with the various groups and participate. However, I found myself triggered just by some of the conversations that they were having, where I not the best because I had something traumatic I had not processed through, and it came up in group sessions. So when you think about, people this is a trigger and that's a trigger. There are ways in which you can help folks identify. How do you get to you before you're broken?
Say that last part again.
How can someone seek you out before you're broken? Do they have you set up? Do they just seek you out? I mean, when you say you would like to see people come to you before they have a trigger event, how does that happen? What would that process look like?
Coming to me before there's like a big
traumatic event.
Traumatic event. I think it's understanding. So it's two things: knowing yourself and knowing and having some mindfulness and awareness of your body, and knowing when something is different, knowing when something feels different. So that's part of it. But the other thing is for people it's education, and for people to start understanding like these little things that we've been told are not a big deal, or that we want to brush under the rug or ignore, they actually are significant and they actually do impact you. And so when people start to have more awareness about things like, oh, that was trauma, or oh, that was actually abuse, I should probably do something about that. When people have that kind of awareness and understanding, then they'll start to look sooner. And I think that's one of the reasons why I am trying to be more active on social media because I want to normalize therapy and help people to better understand what things in your life having a therapist can help with.
Awesome. So we do have a question.
Yeah, we have a question. Go ahead. Do you want to read it?
Sure.
Do you want me to read it? Oh.
What advice do you give to employers for addressing the mental health of their employees, especially during the pandemic, home issues, and life?
So I think the first thing is to promote mental health, positive mental health, self-care, and seeing a therapist. And finding a therapist can be really challenging. So having someone in HR be responsible for finding therapists that either can get referred to or that are on staff in some way. So I know there's some companies who have done that. And then also really employers being really flexible and understanding how difficult this pandemic is, and allowing people the opportunity to take mental health days and take time off. Another thing that employers can do is provide workshops or provide trainings around mental health and around mindfulness and meditation, which I'm a big proponent of.
Yes. And do you think that out of this pandemic, there's going to be more cases of people having depression issues?
I do. So we've experienced quite an increase in people reaching out and needing support and help. I think we underestimate the value of the small micro connections that we have during our day when we're not in pandemic. So, right, chatting up the grocery store clerk, or talking to somebody sitting at the lunch table behind you, like all of those little things fuel our soul, and we're missing those. And so I definitely think people are experiencing more what are called mood disorders, like anxiety and depression, because of the pandemic.
And I'll go even one step further and say that even though now, I am going to the grocery store again and all that, but I think there's still something missing, even though I can say it because of the mask.
Yes.
I'm missing, that connection of a smile and, and that it's not the same. It's just not the same.
We get a little hit of dopamine when we see smiles, right? We have these things that are mirror neurons. And so when someone is having a certain experience or emotion, if we're in the same space as them, our body automatically will be aware of that and match it. And we're missing that.
We're totally missing that.
Yeah. On the horizon, the Chamber Mental Wellness Series is coming with Kaiser Permanente.
Oh,
sometime in May. So that's exciting.
Okay. That's very exciting. I like
that. Woohoo! Go Chamber.
That's awesome. So,
That's ex-
Yeshiva, when you
uh-huh.
think about your clients, or when you think about where we currently are, what are some of the things that you had to pivot and do during COVID?
Mhm. I think the biggest thing was pivoting out of a physical space and onto a virtual space. I was fortunate because I like to look for silver linings, right? So I was fortunate that my lease was up last March 2020.
Mhm.
And so I was very easily able to pack up and put things in storage.
Mhm.
I did experience a little bit of resistance with that piece because therapists were telling me I'm not going to be able to connect with my clients in the way that I need to. All the small incidents of body language and energy and sound, all the audible sounds that help you to understand what someone could be communicating or experiencing. They were worried that we couldn't do that in a Zoom situation, right? And then the clients, I have this one client, she hates technology. So the clients had concerns about their sessions being private and then also just being able to manage getting online. And
Okay.
so we had some speed bumps, and it took us a while to get people to feel comfortable on both ends of the screen. And virtual therapy is not the same. It's not, but it's good and it helps.
Right.
And so
Every
that's
little
what I'm
bit
helping
helps.
people to understand. It helps. It's still beneficial. It's different,
Right.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think every little bit helps at this point. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that you can't really say no to any of it. And I'm saying this because, even though we're not going out and connecting with friends, we've been doing a Zoom like every Tuesday and Saturday night, connecting with our friends and hanging out with them. And even though we're not seeing each other personally, it still has benefits
It
of
does.
just hanging out and having something to do for that night, and knowing that it's a safe place and we can all come together and share what our day was or what our week looked like, and and talk. And it's not the same people that we live with, or if we live by ourselves, it's something else that we're doing with another person.
Yeah.
And virtually or not, it's been very beneficial.
We're
Not the
social
same.
animals. We need to connect.
And some of us are more social than others,
Yeah, true.
And so, locking up Candance and I is not a good thing. We're
I
very social. It's hard.
Yeshiva, when I think about, and I've been on various calls where they've been talking about the children, and we've seen things on the news, and parents want their kids back in school. Are there any things that you can ask or suggest that parents pay attention to when they're, working with their children from home, that you think would be beneficial for them?
Sure. So with kids, especially kids who are not as verbal, we have to remember that behavior has meaning. So if a child is tantruming on the floor, as much as it annoys you and you want them to stop, it means something. So to take a minute and take a breath and think about what is my child trying to tell me, and how can I help them resolve it is really, really.
Uh-oh. Did she freeze?
I think so, but she'll.
Uh-oh. I was wondering if you were still there.
I know. Before we were frozen for a moment, but
She's still frozen.
yeah. So maybe we can share some of the upcoming events until her connection comes back around.
Okay, that sounds great. Let's do that.
Oh no, that's the upcoming event. So.
Hey, we're live, so we have issues and we just got to roll with them, right?
Hey.
Sorry, guys, all of you watching, please, stay with us. She'll be back, I'm sure. In the meantime, Candance and I are going to tell you about some of our upcoming events.
Yes. So we have one that's coming up. It's continuing to navigate COVID-19, the variances, the vaccines, and the future ahead. It's a lunch and learn with Kaiser Permanente. LAX Coastal, and the Santa Monica Chamber. And that's coming up on Thursday, March 4th at 11:45 till 1 p.m. That's got a session.
That's a very special one because it's a special time and everything. So it's a unique event. Do they have to register for that?
They'll need to go to the Culver City Chamber website and register.
Okay.
So this one is a great one that's come back. It's Convo with the council member. So again, that's going to be on the 4th as well, Thursday the 4th from 4 to 5. And we can meet with our council member and ask questions in an open forum.
Thursday's going to be a busy day.
Yeah, yeah. Great information. You know, I'm big on getting informed. So great. So next up, we also have a bi-weekly.
We have next Monday, we have the bi-weekly COVID-19 business roundtable, and that's at 2:30 p.m. next Monday.
Yes.
And then we have a joint Thirsty Thursday, and that is, I believe, also a collaboration with the Greater San Fernando Valley and the Long Beach area chambers. And it's on Thursday, March 11th from 4 to 5 p.m. And you'll probably have to register for that one as well. But you'll have an opportunity to connect and network in that event. Mm-hmm. It's a good one to go to. You want to read the next?
Sure. Labor laws, the updates, the ones that we all need to be aware of. So it's going to happen on March 12th. From 10 a.m. to 12. And again, go to the Culver City Chamber website to register as well.
Perfect. And we have our brand new website, discoverculver.com. It went live today, and it's catered to our eat, shop, stay, play businesses in Culver City.
Yeah, that's going to be so great because oftentimes when we're deciding to go out, it would be nice to know where everyone is in Culver City and where all the great places that you can go and support.
Perfect. So Yeshiva, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Right on time.
So thank you, our audience, for staying with us. We apologize for technical issues. We are doing this with as much technology as possible. So you never know.
So sorry.
It's okay. This is the beauty of it, right? We're in real time.
Yes.
So
yes,
I think you were saying something that Candance had asked you a question to. If you want to continue with that.
Yeah. So I was just saying, we were speaking to the challenges of having kids at home and working at home and doing everything at home. And the first part was behavior has meaning. The second part is academics are secondary when you're in the midst of a pandemic. So the focus has to be having your kids come out of this pandemic emotionally well. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people or a lot of parents really want their kids to be on top of academics. And I think that's important. And for the children who can manage that, that's great. But if your child is resisting that and they don't have capacity for it, find another way. Think of the things you want them to learn and the things that are important to them and find a different way to teach them. Maybe, hours on a Zoom screen is not how they learn. If you want your child, if it's a preschooler and you're wanting them to learn their colors and numbers, find another way to do it. Because at the end of the day, their emotional health is much more important than academics.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well said.
We're coming up on that 12:30, the half hour, the 1:30 half hour, and but the title is Monday Biz Motivation. So at this point, we'd like to know what motivates you.
Seeing my clients' growth and progress motivates me. To have a client go from, not working, not be able to sustain a job because of alcoholism and bulimia, to move on to having this, getting a great promotion, having a great career, or seeing people make changes in the themes in their life that have tripped them up keeps me motivated. And being able to educate and share with people about mental health and about therapy and how amazing it is and how I think everybody should try it, keeps me motivated too. So just being able to share in people's lives and help and watch them grow.
Awesome. Thank you.
Very good.
So Rafia, what's your motivation for this week? We do this every week, Yeshiva. So we're just like, okay, what's my motivation for this week?
Well, personal motivation for me this week is to stay in a present mind and not react until I have really processed everything.
Yeah.
And my business motivation is to finish a task. So I think both requires focus.
Yeah. I like that. Respond and not react, right?
Yeah, I'm usually not a reactionary person, but sometimes I find that I've taken too long to react, and then people are like, what do you mean? I already thought this was over. You know? so that's an issue.
Awesome.
And what about you, Candance?
So my motivation for this week, you know, everyone's talking about we're coming up on 1 year of being in the pandemic, and we're still in it. And we have so many things to celebrate. So my focus is just celebrating every day.
Oh, I love that.
While there are some things that are coming up, like, you know, the 1 year of being in COVID, there's the 1 year of working with, there's an anniversary coming up of working with this payment method company. So I'll definitely be celebrating those things. It's also another year in business coming up in May. And generally, I'm planning 3 months ahead for some big celebration, but things change. And so the one thing this pandemic has definitely taught me is to celebrate every day. And so that's my focus for this week, is to find ways to help even my clients remember to celebrate today. Celebrate today.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I'm actually, you know, in that same respect, I run the kindness group in Culver City, the Facebook and Instagram page of that. And I've been racking my brains out trying to figure out a challenge to give to everyone for March. And so this morning, you know, sort of on the same line of counting your blessings, you know. So I kind of started looking up Irish blessings, because this month is you know, St. Patrick's Day. And there are so many great Irish blessings. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to read them, and thought, what a great thing to challenge people to, you know, do a blessing for somebody else, or, you know, receive a blessing for yourself. So that's what my challenge is for this month, for the 17 days leading up to St. Patrick's Day.
I love that.
Nice. Well, thank you. I think that wraps up our Monday Biz Motivation session for this week. Yeshiva, you were an awesome guest. We appreciate your time. You gave us a lot to think about. I know my friends that have kids will, as they listen to this, they'll be mindful of making sure they're paying attention to their children. Also, you know, as adults, we'll be paying attention to ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think there was a question that popped up. Was that a question?
Or? It was about if you wanted to market your business, ask the chamber more information on that.
Oh, definitely. So the chamber is a great place for you to get the word out about your business. And with our new website, we have some amazing marketing tools. So definitely reach out to the Culver City Chamber, go onto the website, and then connect. There's various phone numbers to connect directly to either Lauren Carter or to Monica. They're great sources. Colin, our president, has been a wealth of information along with the team and the ambassadors, getting the word out as to how we need to continue to move forward. So
exactly. And also, if you missed Yeshiva's information, it was also listed there to get a hold of her. Maybe we could put it up again. There you go.
There it is.
There it is. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much.
We appreciate you, and hopefully people are getting that mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And join us next week for another Business Motivation Monday with a new guest. And it's also, is it Women in Council?
March
month?
is Women in Business Month. So we're going to do a Women in Business takeover for the Monday Biz Motivation. So you will see a lot of women this month that are doing some amazing things here in Culver City. So join us.
Awesome.
Women's History Month.
Wonderful. All right, everyone, have a great Monday, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.